Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. My name is Tom.
Hi, Stephanie.
It's our TOEIC unit today. And as we move further into the month of November, it's time to start keeping yourselves warm as winter approaches and study a little English. Now, today's TOEIC lesson is all about an exclusive offer about a famous author. Okay, so I guess someone is going to interview a famous novelist by the name of Dean Brown. And this is what this conversation between Meredith and Norman is all about. And Meredith, I guess, is going to interview him for her show, but we're going to have to find out what this conversation is all about. So I think a good idea would be for us to listen to this conversation between Meredith and Norman, and then come back and talk about it. Here we go.
You're a lucky guy, Norman. I'm about to make you a great offer.
I had a feeling you hadn't just invited me here for coffee.
I'm going to give you the chance to book Dean Brown on your show.
Dean Brown, the author? I didn't know he was one of your clients.
He sure is. And his new book is getting fantastic reviews.
I've heard that. What's it called? The Roswell Specimen or something?
That's right. It's about the aliens that people claim landed in Roswell and the extraordinary secrets that the government learned from them.
I'm sure it's a fascinating story, but I've also heard that Mr. Brown isn't talkative in interviews. Wasn't there an incident on another show a few years ago?
That wasn't my client's fault. That host asked him some very personal questions about his divorce. As long as you agree not to bring up Mr. Brown's private life, there won't be any issues. Just stick to his books, his writing, and his research.
Well, I'll have to talk to Jerry. It's his show, after all. I'm just a producer. I can't make any final decisions.
I understand, but you should tell him that we've already been approached by other networks. You're our first choice, but you're by no means our only option.
Thanks for coming to us first. Let me give Jerry a call right now. Okay, everybody, the time has come for us to discuss the contents of today's conversation between Meredith and Norman. I guess neither Meredith nor Norman are actually going to interview Dean Brown.
Yeah.
Meredith is some kind of agent here, and Norman is the producer of this show, and it's actually a fella by the name of Jerry who's going to actually talk to the author, Dean Brown. Okay, so Meredith begins the conversation now.
Yeah, Meredith is actually a talent agent. You need an agent if you're in entertainment. Even writers need agents, actors, singers. People need someone to let them know about what auditions are happening, or if there is a show that wants to interview them. They're the ones who actually negotiate what you're going to be paid if you're the talent. So those are talent agents. So she's calling up this guy, Norman, to give him a really cool offer. We're calling it an exclusive offer. Here, exclusive means it's restricted or limited to a certain group or a certain person. So you have to feel kind of special if you're invited to an exclusive party. Not everybody gets to go. Maybe only a certain few people, and they're usually popular or cool.
Exactly, right. So, yeah, there might be an exclusive club or something that keeps low-lifes like me out.
Oh, Tom.
Unless you have a lot of money, then you can be part of that club. But in any case, this is an offer that only they are receiving, and nobody else has this exclusive offer, this very special offer.
Yeah.
And Meredith begins by saying, "Oh, you're a lucky guy, Norman. I'm about to make you a great offer." Hey, we've been using this word offer quite a bit here. It's when you propose something to somebody and then you see if they will accept or not. So this is an offer, an opportunity, I guess, for them to interview the famous writer Dean Brown.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be about money, though. You can offer to help somebody, or you can offer to take someone to work or to school. But you can also receive an offer if someone wants to buy something that you are selling. So Norman feels pretty cool. He said, I had a feeling you hadn't just invited me here for coffee. So it sounds like Meredith thought, oh, I'm going to invite Norman for coffee and tell him about an exclusive offer we're going to give to their company. She says, I'm going to give you the chance to book Dean Brown on your show. If you book someone, it means you schedule them to do something. Maybe it's a gig. Gig is G-I-G. If you're in entertainment, we'll talk about having a gig. I have a gig this weekend. Maybe you're in a band and you book a gig. Or you book a show. Maybe you get cast in a musical. Or maybe you're cast in a movie. So you book someone, which means you're going to reserve their time to do something.
That's right. And she's going to book Dean Brown for his show. Again, as I said, Norman is the producer, and Jerry is the actual interviewer on the show. And Norman says, ooh, Dean Brown, the author?
Yeah.
I didn't know he was one of your clients. Of course, your customer is your client. Customer is a little bit more informal. Client is more formal, especially if you're a professional company. A lawyer or something, that would be your client.
Yeah, typically we use client for services that you might offer or provide. But if you're buying something, typically we'll use customer.
Exactly. Okay. So yes, indeed, Norman is quite surprised that Dean Brown is one of her clients, and Meredith says, oh, he sure is. You certainly underestimate me, Norman. I'm pretty professional here. I know lots of powerful people, and his new book is getting fantastic reviews.
Yeah.
If you release something like a record or a TV show or a book or something, people are going to write reviews about it, or they're going to put reviews on YouTube or something like that, which means they kind of look at your work and decide if it's good or not. They point out the good things, they point out the bad things. That would be a review. But in this case, I guess the critics like his book. They're giving him fantastic reviews, and fantastic just means it's kind of beyond reality, basically. It's just so good to be true.
Yeah. Well, Norman says, oh, I've heard that. Sounds like he's read some of the reviews or heard that the book was doing well. And he wants to make sure he knows what the name of the book is. He goes, what's it called? Sometimes you think you know the name, but you just want to confirm that what you think is true. So what's it called? The Roswell Specimen or something? And, of course, he had the right name. Specimen here is kind of an interesting word. It's typically used in science when they're trying to do some research. So a specimen might be an individual plant or animal or a piece of even rock that they're going to use as an example to do research on that type of species, you could call it. So, of course, we're talking about aliens here. If you're an American, you know that Roswell, New Mexico is the location, supposedly, I'm not sure it's true. We don't all know if it's true or not, but some people think that aliens landed there at one time, and the government knew about it, but they're hiding the fact, and so they've been lying to us that they didn't really land there. But supposedly, some people think it's really true.
Yeah, at the time there was a crash, and it made the newspapers. Spaceship crashes in Roswell Desert, and then the government said, "Oh no, that wasn't a spaceship.
No, it never happened."
Yeah, it was just a weather balloon, nothing to be worried about. But a lot of people think that the government is lying to us, and so
because they don't want everyone to just freak out and be afraid.
Right, it would cause a general panic, okay?
Yeah.
So the government supposedly knows all about UFOs, and they just won't tell us because we'll all freak out. But in any case here, that's what this novel is about, something to do with Roswell or the Roswell incident. And Meredith says that's right, it's about the aliens that people claim landed in Roswell and the extraordinary secrets that the government learned from them. So basically what Meredith just said is basically what what we just said. There are supposedly some extraordinary secrets. That just means very unusual or remarkable. Extraordinary. You could do that. That's extraordinary.
And Norman says, oh, I'm sure it's a fascinating story. If it fascinates you, it really gets your attention and you just want to keep listening or reading or doing whatever you're participating in, you could say. So he says, I've also heard that Mr. Brown isn't talkative in interviews. If you're interviewing something or someone and they just give you answers like yes, no, they wouldn't be a good guest. You want somebody who's really kind of entertaining and lively. So if you're talkative, you're willing to talk, and people like to listen to you. Not always. Some people are talkative and, people like, oh, they talk too much. But in an interview, you definitely want a guest who can talk.
That's right. Let them do all the talking and stuff like that. But I guess this guy is kind of reserved, maybe. He isn't very talkative. Wasn't there an incident on another show a few years ago? So here, Norman seems to think that he's not very talkative because of something that happened in another interview that Mr. Brown gave to another interviewer a few years back. And Meredith says, well, that wasn't my client's fault. Okay, so here she goes on to say that host asked him some very personal questions about his divorce. So she's saying that, well, my client is Dean Brown, the author, but hey, he wasn't quiet because he's shy or something. It's because the host of that program asked him maybe some inappropriate questions, some personal questions about his divorce. Divorce here can be both a verb and a noun. We usually say get a divorce, or I am divorced, she's a divorced woman, he's a divorced man, etc. But here divorce is being used as a noun. That's just when you separate, you break down the bonds of holy matrimony. You're no longer married.
People just, sometimes they can't get along and they split up. They get a divorce. So she says, as long as you agree not to bring up Mr. Brown's private life, there won't be any issues. If you bring something up, guys, it's a verb phrase we use just to say, don't mention it. So if you bring something up, you actually change the topic and say, oh, what do you think about this? Well, people aren't supposed to bring up sensitive topics, and a divorce is definitely a sensitive topic for people in an interview. Why would you want to talk about your personal life with a bunch of people you don't know? There are a lot of people listening. So if you stick to his books, his writing, and his research, everything will be fine. He'll talk to you and he'll have a great interview. If you stick to something, guys, you don't leave it, you stay with it, you don't give up. Here it means just remain or stay with these particular topics, books, writing, his research. You can also stick something to something, which means you take an object and you attach it to something else. You fasten it to something else. But here it just means stay on that topic. Don't get off that topic.
Yeah, don't change the subject. Stick to the subject at hand.
Yeah.
So yes, just ask him questions about books, writing, and his research, and don't talk about his divorce. Now, Norman says, well, then I'll have to talk to Jerry. It's his show after all. So Jerry is the host of the program. Norman says, I'm just a producer. So he's not the producer. He's a producer. I guess there are other people who are producing this program. And he says, I can't make any final decisions. So he'll talk to Jerry and make some suggestions. But it's in the end, it's up to Jerry to decide what kinds of questions he's going to ask the author.
That's right. So we don't know who we don't talk to the host, at least. We know the host's name is Jerry, but it's actually up to Jerry. It's his show, and he's the star. And even though a producer has some power, the star always has more power than a producer. So it's his show. He's going to decide what to talk to Mr. Brown about. If you're a producer, you're behind the scenes. You arrange things. You make sure that everything is working smoothly. But then you have people that are the face talent, which means you're the ones who the public look at and see. So Meredith says, yeah, I understand. Jerry's going to be able to make the final decision. But you should tell him that we've already been approached by other networks.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty important. A network is a major TV station or radio station. In America, our major networks would include CBS, ABC, NBC.
But in any case here, she's representing this writer, so she's saying, well, if you guys don't agree to ask him these certain questions, then I can go to somebody else, so you better do as I say or you're in big trouble here.
It won't be an exclusive offer, though, if she does take this to other studios.
True, that's kind of ironic there.
Yeah.
But in any case, yes, she does say that you're our first choice, but you're by no means our only option. And here the phrase by no means means in no way, certainly not. By no means you're our only option, which means we absolutely have other ideas in mind.
That's right. We'll also use the opposite. We'll say, by all means, perhaps Tom wants to borrow my car one weekend. And I could respond with, oh, by all means, of course. It means of course, so no way is by no means. So it's kind of it's a phrase we'll use quite often, though.
You don't have a car, do you?
No.
Yeah, it's hard to have a car.
You don't have a car either, do you? Oh, yes, you
well,
do.
Actually, we did, but the engine died. So we're going to have to get a new one or something. But in any case here, yes, you're by no means our only option. Don't think that you're the only person that we are considering.
Right.
And Norman says, thanks for coming to us first, though. Let me give Jerry a call right now. So he needs to talk to Jerry to make sure Jerry understands he cannot ask the guest any personal questions. Otherwise, he'll get angry and storm off the set.
By no means can Jerry ask him any questions about his divorce. Okay, guys, right now we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to talk about extra dialogues.
大家好，欢迎收听 English Digest， 我是 Alice。今天我们要阅读的是 Unit9 多益单元的第一天课程 An exclusive offer。首先我们来看到标题的这个形容词 exclusive E-X-C-L-U-S-I-V-E Exclusive 在本课是指独家的、专用的。A be exclusive to B 就是指 A 仅限于 B，A 为 B 所专用。例如 This special discount is exclusive to members of the gym club 这次的特别折扣仅限于这间健身俱乐部的会员。另外 exclusive 还有排外的、不包括的意思。片语 exclusive of something 就是指不包括某事物。例如 Brian likes all kinds of insects exclusive of cockroaches 布莱恩喜欢各种的昆虫，但是不包括蟑螂。在今天的对话里Meredith 向 Norman 提出一个建议 Meredith 想让他的客户 Mr. Brown 上 Norman 所制作的节目接受主持人 Jerry 的访问。我们看到 Meredith 说 I'm going to give you the chance to book Dean Brown on your show 我将给你安排迪恩·布朗上你节目的机会 Book 在这句中做动词用有安排、预约的意思。我们可以说 book a hotel room 订旅馆房间 book a flight 订机票 book a band 安排一个乐队等等。如果一家餐厅或旅馆 is booked up 或是 is fully booked 就是指这家餐厅或旅馆已经客满了。此外我们也可以说 book in advance A-D-V-A-N-C-E 意思是提前预定。例如 The restaurant is very busy on weekends, so you had better book in advance. 这家餐厅在周末很忙碌，所以你最好提前预约。接着 Meredith 向 Norman 提到 Mr. Brown 的新书。我们看到 Meredith 说It's about the aliens that people claimed landed in Roswell. 它是关于人们声称降落于罗斯威尔的外星人。这句的 that 是关系代名词，代替先行词 aliens， 后面引导一个形容词子句 来说明是怎么样的 aliens。大家可能会比较困惑的是，那在这句形容词子句里 that 是当主词还是受词呢？很多人会以为是受词，因为 that 子句里已经有主词 people 了。其实 people claim 在这里是插入语，拿掉后并不会影响句子的结构，所以原来的句子是 The aliens that landed in Roswell， 所以 that 在子句中是做主词用。我们再举一个例子， I saw a girl on the bus who I thought was your sister。 我在公车上看到一个我认为是你妹妹的女孩。 I thought 在这里也是插入语，拿掉后并不会影响句子结构。在本课对话中， Meredith 表示还有别家电视台也在跟他接洽，要访问 Mr. Brown， 所以他跟 Norman 说， You are our first choice, but you're by no means our only option。 你们是我们的第一选择，但绝不是唯一的选择。本句有一个片语 by no means， 绝不的意思，相当于 under no circumstances， circumstances， 或是也等于 on no account， account。 这几个片语放在句首的时候，句子就会形成倒装句。例如这一句 You are by no means our only option， 我们也可以改成 By no means are you our only option。 我们再举一个例子， I will under no circumstances help you cheat on your math test。 我绝不会帮你在数学考试作弊。将 under no circumstances 移到句首后， I 和 will 的顺序倒过来，形成倒装句 Under no circumstances will I help you cheat on your math test。 以上就是今天的课程，谢谢收听。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The time has now come for us to discuss our extra dialogues for today. This conversation is between A and B.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be A here. Here we go. Jerry's not sold on having Mr. Brown on the show.
Come on, Norman. Brown is big news right now. Think of the ratings.
Okay, we should talk about this phrase, to not be sold on something.
Yeah.
Sold here, of course, is from the verb to sell. If you give some product to somebody and they give you money for it, you are selling that item to them, and that thing is sold. If they no longer have that item, then they are sold out. But to be sold on something in this case means to be convinced of something, to be persuaded. You accept this idea. And here Norman just thinks that it's not a good idea to have Mr. Brown on the show. He's not such a great guy. It's a waste of time to interview him. I think we're wasting our time. I'm not sold on that idea.
Yeah, maybe a friend of yours wants to go for a picnic, but you know a typhoon's coming, and you're like, yeah, I don't think you're going to sell me on that. Yeah, you're not going to persuade me. Yeah, so it's a fun phrase we use quite often, actually. Yeah, he didn't sell me on that. Yeah, oh, I'm sold. He sold me on that. So he is not sold on having Mr. Brown on the show. And my response is, come on, Norman. Come on. Hey, listen. Brown is big news right now. Think of the ratings. Of course, if you're in the business of TV, radio, what else? Just mainly entertainment that's broadcast. You have to think of the ratings. The ratings are the statistics of the number of people who actually tune in or watch or listen to what you're providing. And if you're really doing well, you're rated quite high. Maybe you're number one of the ratings. And they look at ratings very, very carefully. And if you don't have good ratings, you're canceled.
Yep, you're canceled, and then people will just have to watch reruns or watch pirated videos or YouTube videos. And let's move on now to the second conversation here. I'll continue to be A here.
Okay.
Okay, Jerry's given it the green light. He said, how about the 15th?
I'll check my client's availability on that date and let you know.
Okay, remember when we're driving, a green light means you can go, and a red light means, well, you can still go if you're going fast enough.
No.
Well, here in Taiwan, I think if the light turns red and you're still within 50 meters of the intersection, you can still go through.
No.
Well, that's what I've been led to believe. Technically speaking, when the light is red, you are supposed to stop. Okay, but in any case, if someone gives you the green light, that means they say, it's okay.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Yeah. They're giving you the approval so you can do what you've been asking to do. How about the 15th? They're just checking when they can actually book the gig, book the client. And my response is, well, I have to check my client's availability. Remember, it's the agent that does all of the arranging when there's talent wanting to give an interview or be on a show. Okay, number 3 here. Tom, do you want to do
I'd love to be A. It says,
yeah.
How much of an appearance fee does Mr. Brown expect?
I'll talk to my client this afternoon and email you an offer.
Okay, so some shows, I guess, expect their guests to appear for free because it's publicity for them.
No, usually if it's a news program, they cannot receive money.
Okay,
but if it's an entertainment show, yeah, sometimes you give them a little bit. And you probably pay for their flight into town and their hotel.
Something like that. So I guess Mr. Brown here probably expects some sort of payment.
Why not?
And what's his fee? And then B says, well, I need to talk to the client, and then I will email you an offer. Email here is being used as a verb. Here's our discussion question. Do you enjoy watching talk shows? Explain your answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Depends on the topic, the subject, and the host. If I don't like the host or I don't agree with the host's views, I tend to not watch that. But yeah, do you ever watch talk shows? They're popular here.
Yeah, actually, the talk shows here are kind of different. There are also sometimes talk shows on the radio, and especially nowadays, there are talk shows on the internet. So indeed, I like listening to people being interviewed and expressing their opinions.
Yeah, especially if I'm interested in that person that has been booked on the show. So we hope you learned a lot about what it takes to get booked on a show. Maybe some of our listeners out there, Tom, are writers or actors or singers, and they'll have to know these things.
We certainly wish you the best in your career if you want to appear on a talk show. So from all of us here at English Digest, we wish you the best with your English studies and with your future career. I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.